So recently, I've been talking to my friends a lot on the Facebook. Those of you who hear from me on Facebook, keeping track of my activity there, would remember that I've been doing sort of my version of the Ask Me Anything. Uh, Earlier this year, we did a Ask Me Anything post on Reddit, and it was really well received, a lot better than I thought it would be. And that gave me the idea, why not do a series of Ask Me Anything on Facebook and respond to the questions on videos. So my friends, my loyal viewers, as you guys, can feel free to ask me anything. Of course, I do not promise that you'll get an answer for everything, but we'll definitely do our best. I think this is fun. This is the way I like to interact with people who follow our progress, people who watch our videos, uh, and at the same time, I know as I tell my life stories, my uh, history, and past, and all my exploit, I leave a lot of openings. I've left a lot of unfinished businesses. Um, Sometimes I talk about a certain aspect of my life and uh, just glimpse over it, just barely get into it, and quite often I mean to go back and fill in those holes that I dug, but as tend to happen to me, I get busy with other projects and I forget uh, what kind of questions still need answers. So this is a way for you guys to remind me. Maybe something I've talked about a little bit, and maybe something you want me to elaborate on from a past video. Um, so, without further ado, we have our first question of the night. It's from my good friend and my loyal fan and reader, Jesse Cooper from the United States. And, I got her questions on a synthesized voice here, uh, so we can all hear the question.
You grew up in a home where you were not wanted and had to face a lot of crap because of it, but you overcame and became a decent and accomplished guy, not like you need reminding. What advice would you give to children growing up in abusive or neglectful homes?
Well, first off, thanks a lot, Jesse. That's definitely a compliment, and uh, even though some people would argue the word decent doesn't really describe me, accomplished is a relative term. Uh, I don't really consider myself all that accomplished. I just muddle along and do what I do. Um, but anyway, back to the question itself. What kind of advice would I give to children and people who are growing up in an abusive environment? This is very interesting because, and I'm not just saying that, but yeah, this is really interesting because for quite a while now, me and the director and the film team, we've been playing around with an idea. Uh, what if I can travel back in time and meet my younger self? Maybe meet the version of me that's 10 years old or 9 years old, like during the darkest hours of my life. If I can travel back in time to meet that child version of me, what would I tell him? And that's actually a very deep question because um, sometimes, despite our best intention, we telling someone something can alter the course of their life, and not always in a good way. I think if I am to talk to someone, may it be a younger version of myself or just someone else in an abusive environment, this is what I would say. That we are all born with 24 hours in a day. Some of us get to enjoy more hours. Some of us have to suffer some of these hours. And some of us may start out having to suffer all of these hours. But that is not permanent. One day, when you grow up and when you grow stronger, when you can finally escape your current situation, it is up to you now how to fill those 24 hours. You can spend the 24 hours in recrimination. You can spend the 24-hour hurting. Or you can spend the 24 hours every day healing and make the world a better place. So my first advice is to bide your time, to know and believe in that one day you will be in control, because you will be. And prepare yourself for that day, which is pretty much what I did. When I was 11, when I went back to Taiwan after spending 2 years with my stepmother and her children, being abused and tortured, starved, you name it, I went through it. When I escaped that hell, I said to myself, one day I'm going to be strong. One day I'm going to be so strong that no one can ever do that to me again. So after I went back to Taiwan, I started training, I started exercising, and I started martial art again. I even got into the child military boot camp, which I believe in the Taiwanese history, I might have been the first ever blind person who gotten into it. And the boot camp was tough. Being the only blind person in the boot camp was really rough. And I got so sick from exposure, from starvation, from exhaustion, that I was constantly in the hospital during the boot camp. But I didn't go home, because I knew this was the way for me to one day become strong, so no one could abuse me anymore. And so I did. Before 18 years old, I walked out of my family and never looked back. I left home knowing that that day forth was my independence. From that day forward, my life belonged to me. And I finally reached my goal. It took me almost 10 years to become strong enough psychologically, physically, and financially to escape. But I did. And every second, every minute of those years, that was my ultimate goal, to prepare myself for that day. So that is my advice to anyone in that kind of situation. Despair will not change anything. Shifting blame will not change anything. Excuses, tears, recriminations, they don't change anything. Only thing that's going to matter is stay true to yourself and prepare for the day that when your life becomes yours for real. So thanks, Jesse, for this question. It's a little bit grim, but keep the questions coming, guys. I really enjoy this. Ciao.